Maybe moving to our next question for you. What are some of the common areas, I guess, or misconceptions that people have about the HIA and what's covered and what's not covered by them as such? Maybe if you could touch on that, it'd be great.
Absolutely. And look, we're probably in part a victim of our own success in the sense that we sell probably more home building contracts for use by builders than anyone else. Our contracts are used by most of the large builders and they're pretty well known. And in fact, often you'll see people talking about domestic building laws that just refer to HIA contract as being a generic thing,
Sure.
which means that to a lot of consumers, they see HIA as being obviously someone that's quite important. And obviously that's very pleasing. But we are fundamentally an industry association, and our job is to support our members. We're not the agency which can be helping consumers to solve their problems with builders. We're not the agency that can interpret or act like lawyers for consumers. We can point people in the right direction, and we do sometimes, in some extreme cases, give a little bit of a prod to help them out, particularly if we're dealing with cases where there's probably some, dare I say, good cause to do so. But fundamentally, we can't take a call from a consumer and say, look, okay, your contract, this is how it's meant to be interpreted, and this is whether your builder's done the right thing or not. And quite frankly, if you're a consumer, if you know that we represent builders, you should be a little bit skeptical anyway, because why would we be helping consumers to do over our members?
Yeah.
We're not going to give consumers false advice, but we can't really step in either. And we also know that usually we're getting one side of the story. So we are able to provide a little bit of help. We do have on our website some resources to help buyers understand our products and how our members work. We do also have a code of ethics, and that's very important. So if you believe that your builder or someone in the home building industry who's a member of ours has acted unethically, and I mean unethically, then we do have a process where we can ask our members to explain themselves. And we have in the past had members who have been removed from membership because they've been unethical. And that's something that particularly my regional executive committee, which is our more long-serving members, they're very passionate about. They don't want to see their membership being stained by people who are misbehaving.
Yeah.
But that is unethical behaviour. If we get complaints that, look, the builder didn't do what I wanted, I don't think the builder's following the contract properly, generally they tend to be civil disputes, and we don't have the authority to go and tell anyone what they should do. That's unfortunately when you're in the path of going down the legal dispute resolution process, which unfortunately is at the moment badly broken in Victoria, and it's probably not much better around the rest of the country, quite frankly. And I can understand that at times we do get consumers calling us as a last resort. And this is a really sad. At times we've had our reception so busy, I've actually grabbed phone calls. I've had reports in the past that sometimes up to half the calls we get in a day could be from consumers trying to get help. And I've even taken a few of these calls, and often I go, okay, well, look, what you need to do is speak to this government agency. And a few times the response I've got is, oh, I've already tried them. And that's pretty devastating. That's not great. And hopefully there are going to be some improvements there.
Obviously in Victoria, the government's announced some changes there too, which will be good. So, hopefully they are changes for the good, I guess, is more the point. But at least it's recognised that it's not performing the way it should. So
that's right. Yes. Look, there's some work being done. It takes time, and it has been a little bit frustrating how long it's taken. But there are some signs that it could get better.
I guess for us, Keith, we're really focused on helping home buyers. We're obviously from the industry. We're pro builder, as are you, and your members are builders. And for those who are looking at building or just going through the process now, understand that HIA contract that you're looking at, it's not a one-way street. It's there to set the standard and set the tone, so that there's some consistency across what you're seeing.
Absolutely, and it's probably worth stressing the contracts are very regulated by legislation. So what can be in those contracts, pretty tight. We don't have the flexibility to put in lots of extra bells and whistles, which would make the contract perhaps deal with every single scenario. They have, to some extent, a bit of a generic nature, which means that they don't always meet the needs of builders or consumers, but they are reasonably fair and balanced. There are some areas where we think the law can be improved, and I'm sure consumer groups would love to see changes as well. Fundamentally, a lot of the content of our contract tries to equally balance the rights of consumers as well as protect our members. Because we know that most of our members, most people in the industry, want their clients to be treated fairly and to get what they've bargained for. And the contract does a pretty good job of achieving that.
Which is good.